Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the highly anticipated Embraer Phenom 300E from FsReborn. This just came out a few days ago. I got it as soon as I saw it in the marketplace. Did a few flights on it. And I must say I am incredibly impressed. In today's video, we are going to go through the ins and outs. We're going to take a look at the outside, the detailing and all of the styling, as well as some of the cool little neat features on this aircraft. We will also hop on in the aircraft, take a look around. We will go over the interior, take a look at the cabin, the cockpit, so on and so forth. And then we'll get it up into the air so you can check out the performance on this aircraft. And then to round it all off, I will give my final thoughts and opinions on this aircraft, and hopefully this will be able to help you decide if you want to go ahead and pick this aircraft up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this aircraft comes in at about $40 on the marketplace store, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with that 40 bucks. So let's go ahead and take a look at the outside here. Coming up very close to the nose, we can see just the ultra high detailing of this aircraft. You can even see the wear on the pitot tube there. You can open and close the forward baggage door, which is pretty cool. Even the landing gear is very nicely detailed. And there are some chocks and stuff. You have stuff that cover your pitot tube, your gear pin, chocks, and then obviously you have engine covers that you can go through and remove. I've already gone ahead and did that. Door opens and closes, and if you do so, the stair lighting does automatically illuminate. I will close this up, and then I will reopen it to show you. Kind of hard to see, but those lights did illuminate. Moving down a little bit more, we can see right here, here's one of our landing lights. Moving down the wing, we can see right over here, here's one of our fuel tabs. Unfortunately, we cannot mess with this at all. You can click as many times as you want, it won't do anything. Beautiful detailing on the winglet and the nav light here. You can see the nav light is LED. Moving to the back, we can take a quick little look at the engine. I do have the GPU connected. Nice little touch, FsReborn. Get up close here. You can take a look at the styling and the detailing. There's the back of the engine. And moving down towards the tail section, there is no APU on this aircraft. Nice, beautiful texturing. Make our way over here. There's another baggage door on the other side that I forgot to show, but you can mess with that as well. Again, more fantastic styling. I'm actually pretty much in the winglet right now. And look at that, you can see all the rivets and screws. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Moving back towards the front here, you can take a quick look at the engine. You see the turbine blades spinning, which is a pretty neat touch. Here's your crew baggage door. And over here, here's your fuel door. So this is pretty cool. I will go over this a little bit while we're out here, so you can manually open and can manually select your fuel. If you want to do kind of like your own fueling, you can do all that through here, which is pretty cool. Or you can choose to do it the old-fashioned way like we do with most of the other sims and just have it automatically done for you. But this is pretty cool that you can do it yourself. You can go in here, open this up, program your fuel, how much fuel you need for your flight, and then go ahead and have it be filled up. Well, there, go ahead and close that. Take another quick little shot of the aircraft here. So this is one of the few liveries that you get. You do get quite a bit of liveries when you purchase this aircraft. This is this particular livery and tail number is based on a real life Embraer Phenom 300E that is actually flown by a YouTuber that records his flights and such like that. You might have heard of him. His name is 1JC Pilot. This is basically as close as you can get to the real thing and that particular aircraft. Overall, outside, absolutely beautiful. Great texturing, great detailing. You could pretty much mess with, you know, like I said, the two baggage doors in the front and then the one in the rear, and then also the fuel door, which is a nice, neat touch. So let's go ahead and we will enter the cockpit. So here we are. Before we go into the meat and potatoes of the flight deck here, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our cabin. So here in our cabin, we have 3 different styles to choose from. This is one of the 3. And the nice thing is a lot of the trays, like storage compartments here, you can open and close, you can mess with. You can even see, oh look, some pillows have gotten thrown about from takeoff and landing. Folding tray tables, nice neat touch. It's the same on the other side as well. Moving towards the back, you have the lavatory here. Best seat in the house. You can open this up, go ahead and sit right down, enjoy a nice little view out the wing, and you can even mess with the window shades, which is a nice neat touch. You can do that on all your windows. Unfortunately, the sink does not work. It does say push, but you can't. And down here you have a few things, towels, you have your valve for the water itself, and a couple drawers. Nice and highly detailed. Move towards the front, right over here, so you can come over here and you can close the door, or you can exit the aircraft. And right here, all these do open. So you got your teacups, saucers. Up here, you have some whiskey and wine glasses. Books and magazines for your passengers. Come on. Sometimes that can be a little finicky. Over here, you can go and get yourself a cup of coffee. You can actually grab the cup and actually pour your coffee. It's really cool. And down here, some more cups and things. There's some totally not copyrighted sodas there. You got some Pepsis, Coke. Looks like Mountain Dew right here, and looks like Orange Crush or Fanta. Trash bin. And another trash bin. Over here, got yourself a nice little magazine. Unfortunately, you cannot pick it up and read it. It would be kind of cool if you could. Snacks. More snacks. Right here, again, totally not copyrighted. And then some of your adult beverages here. Also really cool. Right down there, there's your emergency gear lever. Yes, you can use it. And another cool thing that is done by the FsReborn team that so far no other aircraft that I've seen can do is you can actually mess with all of the circuit breakers that are on both the pilot and co-pilot side. All of these you can mess with. So if you want to simulate accidentally leaving one of your circuit breakers off, you can go ahead and do just that. So now that we are, in fact, in the cockpit, let's go ahead and go over everything in the flight deck. Over here, this is our meat and potatoes of the simulator for this aircraft. We will go over this momentarily. As of right now, let's take a focus on what we have in front of us. So this aircraft uses the Garmin G3000 system. It has been tweaked a little bit to fit the Embraer Phenom 300E. If you have flown with the G3000 system before, that this is going to be pretty familiar to you. Everything that you would expect to be there is there. Over here to our left-hand side, we do have a few things that unfortunately do not work with our audio jacks. We cannot mess with anything here except for our pilot mask mic, which would be to test the oxygen. So that's how you would actually test your oxygen in this aircraft. We'll leave that on. Over here, IFE and refreshments power. That does work. And then you can mess with the FCE reset if your flight controls do happen to go all wackadoo. You can actually click that, reset it. Everything here, this is for your oxygen test to make sure you override, or if it's on crew or whatever the case may be, you can set it accordingly. And right here is our mask. Moving up, here is our batteries. This is our electrical. 2 batteries, 2 engine generators, and then your bus tie, GPU. One thing to note with this aircraft is when you do first get into it, you have to manually go into your tablet here and collect the GPU. It is usually not there on startup. Over here we have our engine bleeds. Gonna go ahead and turn those on. And then right here is the knob that we will use to go ahead and test all of our most of our flight systems. So if I go ahead and if I want to try and test the stall.
Stall.
So it'll stay stall a few times like the real world aircraft.
Stall.
We want to test fire.
Fire.
You can go ahead and test that. Let's go ahead and we'll hide our yoke real quick so we can kind of take a look at what's going on over here. So this is our fuel pumps. We have 2 fuel pumps. There's your cross feed right there. 2 hydraulic pumps. Your ELT always stays in the arm position there. And then the signs for the passengers. This is for your heating. 2 windshields, your ADS probes. I always put it in auto. Engine ice, wing ice, and then your landing gear. Moving over here, here's our basically what would be our FMS. This is where you go through, you set your initialization, always test more systems, and prepare the aircraft for your flight. Moving up, this is our autopilot panel. This aircraft, it is very, very, very important to note that this aircraft, at the time of this video, does not have auto throttle. So that is something to keep in mind when you are flying this aircraft. There is no auto throttle available as of right now. I am not sure if we will see auto throttle added in the future. It would be a nice neat add, as some of the real world aircraft do in fact have auto throttle on board. And then moving up here, we have 2 functioning lights for the overhead lights, and then your external and cabin lights as you need them. So let's go ahead and I will set these accordingly. So that should be good for now. Moving down here to the throttle quadrant, we have 2 throttles, parking brake, 4 flat positions. We have everything for our trim, display settings. Right here's our speed brakes. So unlike certain aircraft where it's a lever and you can adjust them accordingly, these are just on or off. And then the button to test your takeoff configuration, if it's okay or not okay. And then this is where our ignition and engine start is. So this is actually pretty cool. Their ignition's always in auto position, and then when you want to go ahead and start your engine, you'll click it to run, and then when you go to start it, instead of having to hold it, it'll do it for you, and it'll hold it for 2 seconds, and then everything comes to life. So I'm going to go ahead and just get these prepped for when we do fly. And then here is our fire extinguishers for the engines. Nothing really visible over here on the co-pilot side. Again, just masks, and then all of your circuit breakers down here. On this side here, this is for your cabin pressurization, auto mode, and then manual if you want to set that accordingly. And then air conditioning, basically your climate comforts are right here. And then on the far right over here, your altimeter as you need it. Moving on over to our lovely tablet, so I'm going to use the default setting for this so we can go ahead and take a look here. So when you first hop into the aircraft, you get it for the very first time, this tablet is going to basically go through and it'll ask you yes or no on certain parts of what you want to have as realism settings and simulation settings. You can adjust that accordingly, and then when that's all set, you will be brought to this screen. So the thing that's pretty cool is you can rotate this tablet however you need it to, so you can customize it to the liking of your position. Now starting with the pre-flight, so this page here shows you some information, tire status, how good the tires are, if the tires are good, bad, or low pressure, maybe over on pressure, check your brakes and everything like that. We also have battery life here, and it shows you how many hours you have on batteries, as well as what your voltage is looking like. Right over here we have our engine hours. You can also see that the oil engine status is okay on both. Now these, as you continue to fly, you will be experiencing wear and tear. Now it's up to you if you have that simulation turned on or off. If you're not paying attention and not paying attention to maintenance, you could simulate if something goes wrong, if you miss a service interval. Nav bulbs, this also shows how many hours are on all of your lighting on your aircraft for the external, which is a nice neat touch. Moving over to flight plan, so this aircraft also has integration with SimBrief and Navigraph. Nice little touch there. And the other thing is, if you have a flight on the basic EFB that comes with the game, it'll also function as expected. This is a G3000 system, so it will work if you do not have SimBrief. Going through here, this is all the stuff that you would go through with your flight plan from SimBrief. If you're not, like I said, if you're not using this, you can use the default electronic flight bag and pull your weather and flight path from there. Over here to charts, this is again used from SimBrief and Navigraph. So if you try to go here, you can actually use all of your things here if you have SimBrief enabled. Moving on to ground ops, now this is something that is pretty cool with this aircraft. So the nice thing about this system from FsReborn is you kind of can go through and you can bring your FBO pretty much anywhere. Even up here on the little hideaway tablet here, if we click settings, you can see here's your FBO control and utility from FsReborn if you are using this aircraft, which is a nice neat touch. So let's go ahead and close that out. Going over everything here, this is where you can customize your payloads. I always like to keep my pilot a little bit skinny. You can go through here, you can set all of your passenger payload, how much the weight is for each passenger, pilot, co-pilot, cargo, and then you can adjust your fuel here. And then depending on how you want to simulate, you can load everything instantly, you can load everything in real time, same with unloading. You can have the rear cargo doors open or closed, same with the front cargo doors open or closed. As you see, we have the cabin door open. We are going to go ahead and close that for our flight here in a few minutes. Also here you can control if you have your landing gear pin, the engine covers, the PIDA covers, and the chocks also here. If you're feeling a little fancy, you can put your security cone and your red carpet out. If you feel like simulating carrying a high value client, as you can see, we do have the GPU on and connected. Moving over here to another cool feature, the cabin comfort. So we can see that our cabin is in fact messy. We can clean that up. Just click that button. Oh, look at that, pristine, 100%. So something that's really neat about this specific page is if you do simulate having passengers on board, this will actually give you feedback on what the passengers are thinking. Something that I haven't seen done on any other charter jet. Like I've flown the Flight FX Citation for quite a little bit now, and I haven't seen anything that simulates something like this. You can serve snacks, coffee, clean the cabin. You can adjust the cabin climates from here. You can see the temperature of the cabin as well. And you can also have an overhead captain PA if you have that turned on in your settings. So you can have like a welcome thing, kind of like what you would do if you were flying an airliner, but it's more or less centralized through here. Moving on to maintenance, so this is another thing that you can also do, and it'll show you what your regular maintenance intervals should be. And it'll also tell you last maintenance, when it was done, and how the engines and other components are in fact doing. Over here to realism, so this you can customize to your liking. This I just have turned off for the purposes of this video, so you can go through and customize everything here to your liking. If you want to simulate certain failures, you can also do random failures, or if you want to do anything here, you can simulate, oh, if I'm doing a little bit too much with my engines, well, that'll start stressing the engines out and prematurely wear them down, and then you might have an engine failure. Fuel and payload, you can mess with this, so this is also something that's pretty cool. Persist last fuel and payload quantity. Say, for example, you want to do a quick flight from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Atlanta. You have a certain payload and fuel quantity. When you go to land, that fuel quantity and payload quantity will be saved for the next time you come back to the aircraft. So if you land with 20% fuel remaining and you still have 350 pounds on board, you finish the flight, you go about doing other things, go do a new flight with an airliner or another private jet, and then you come back to your Phenom 300E, that payload and fuel will still be there. And you can also, right here, fuel aircraft manually. That goes back to the fuel door that I mentioned outside, which is pretty cool. A lot of payload changes during flight. That's just, that's just highly unrealistic, because then you can basically go through and fly this thing across the world. Just sit there, I'm almost out of fuel, and you can go to fuel and throw more fuel in it, and you're good to go. Pretty unrealistic, but also some of this other things, if it's just, you can simulate realism or not. Going over here to the FAQ, so FsReborn team was very, very generous, and also went through and basically answered a lot of the questions that I know a lot of, especially beginner simmers, would have when purchasing and trying to use this aircraft. So they went through and they basically gave you all of these answers with these questions. And also here is your credits. Moving over here to the settings, so again, more customization. Units of measurement, action cameras, now that is pretty cool. We will go over that here momentarily. So the PA voiceover, so if you have that turned on or off, that goes back to our cabin comfort right here. And then you can customize your sounds and such. Ground operations, so you have a little preview. Passenger vehicle, so like I said, this goes back to the FBO thing. If you want to simulate having passengers being bussed in on a Sprinter van and then they get loaded onto the aircraft, it's everything that you can do. Send plan to G3000, yes or no. So like if I have this off, I can't really use this. But if you have it on, you can use it. It's pretty cool. Navigraph charts, yes or no, and then you would put in your SimBrief username as well. Aircraft wear and tear speed, now if you want to accelerate the service interval, so like if you want to do some flying but you want to eventually go through what it's like servicing the aircraft without having to do the 2,500 hours for engine maintenance, you are able to go through here and accelerate the wear and tear on certain systems so you can simulate what it's like to overhaul or perform maintenance on these systems. So now let's circle back over here to the action cameras. So this is something that is really, really cool. I have all of these turned off just because for me, it's like I don't really care for them, but for other people that are like trying to do cinematics and cool videos, this is something for you. So if I have engine startup on yes, and I go and I begin my engine start sequence, instead of sitting in the cockpit and waiting for everything to come alive, the camera will cut and look at the engine that is starting, and then it'll watch it come to life. Same with flaps. If you operate your flaps, the camera will cut and it'll cut to a shot of the flaps on one of the wings, and you'll watch them move up or down depending on how you have them set. And the same goes for GPU, people exiting aircraft, and if you want us to see when you click your landing gear for positive rate up, or if you're coming in on approach, you can watch the gear come down. It's something pretty cool for those who are trying to create high quality YouTube videos that are doing content like that or streaming or what have you. I really, really, really like that for those who are into that. Like I said, me personally, I have them off just because, well, I don't really care for them personally. So now that we have gone through everything here, let's go ahead and let's make sure that we are set, because what we are going to do is we are going to get this puppy up in the air. So we might see some warnings here just because I am not really going to mess with a lot. I do have a flight plan. It's just a little quick VFR flight plan over to a nearby airport. So what I am going to do at least is I am going to get my altimeters correct. So we're looking at 3030. Set once, set twice, and set 3 times. So we know the door is closed, lights are set. Let's just kind of go through here. I'm just going to do a quick little once over. I'm going to bring my yoke back here in a second. Let's get our fuel pumps on. Let's get our hydraulic pumps on. Let's say that's good, that's good. Usually when I like to fly this aircraft, I will have our electrical on one page, and then I will have our status on the other. So this also shows some pretty cool things. So we can see all of our electrical systems. We can see our GPU is connected. Over here we can see that we have enough Brake pressure, oxygen's good. No hydraulic pressure right now because we obviously are not running the aircraft. So it looks like we are okay to go. I'm just gonna do a quick little visual inspection of the aircraft real quick. Now you may notice this is a short runway, and I did this for a reason. This runway is only 3,500 feet in length. This is a local airport to me. So I see like a lot of small single and twin prop aircraft, couple turbos, and actually someone even owns a Vision Jet and they fly in and out of here a few times. But we're here at Oakland Troy Airport. 3,500 foot runway. You'd think, that may not be enough. Just watch. Alright, we're going to start engine number 2 to begin with. So we see batteries pulling, shed bus is off. We got fuel flow into ITTs. Here comes N1. That's a good start. Now we are going to do number 1. Battery pulls, shed bus, fuel flow into ITTs. Here comes N1. You can see we have a flashing advisory for shed bus off, and that's just because it starts, that only comes on when we start the aircraft. That's 2 good starts. So let's go ahead, let's come over here and disconnect our GPU. So that automatically does it there as well. Alright, again, altimeter set 1, 2 times. We are not going to be using ATC for this flight. I have that all disabled. Let's turn our test selector to the off position. Right over here, this would be for speaker. This is your PTT. Unfortunately, none of the things here on the yoke itself actually work, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and disable our parking brake. We're going to taxi to runway. I believe we got to use 10. Let me just confirm that real quick. Yep, 10. Try to get around this Cessna here. Thankfully this aircraft is relatively small enough that you can wiggle around some tight spots, which is pretty cool. A little visual bug right there with that taxi light. Thankfully it will not register a crash. Let's go ahead, let's get that taxi light on, strobes will turn on. Should have done that before I actually started moving. So one thing to note is the sound pack that came with this aircraft. So there is no secondary sound pack that you can purchase. Pretty loud in the front, pretty quiet in the back. And you can customize the sounds to your liking. You can, if it's too loud for you, you can obviously turn that down over there on the tablet. Just a slow taxi, don't want to go too fast. You know, this is a small airport. So I don't see any traffic on the horizon. Looks like we are good to take the runway. So I'm going to go ahead and get us lined up here. going to be a little mindful when taxiing. Sometimes it takes it a second for the rudder to respond to inverse inputs. And here we go. We are now lined up. So I'm going to do a static takeoff. Now prepare to be amazed. Put the brakes on. So this aircraft does have brake-by-wire. You don't actually have any direction to the brake. You can actually hear it. Whenever I click the brakes, you can hear it. Alright, hold the brakes. We are going to begin adding thrust.
No takeoff. Flaps.
We're going to rotate at about 115 knots. Right there. Look at that.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
And we're gonna get an error for too low terrain, but we gotta retract the gear and we gotta get these flaps up quick because we're about to overspeed this stuff.
Too low. Terrain.
Just like that.
Too low. Terrain.
This aircraft is an absolute rocket ship. You go full throttle, to make sure you don't go fast, you gotta go at least 20%, 20 degrees nose up. Look at this. That's 7,000 feet per minute. So I'm gonna pull back. We're gonna level off here. We're gonna keep it a little slow. So flying this aircraft, it's very responsive to general inputs. So if we want to go left, you don't really have to move your flight stick too much. There's our max bank angle. Obviously you can't go further than that, but that's not really that realistic now, is it? So we got to 4,000 feet really quick. So if you're in a situation where you can do unrestricted climb to your desired flight level, do it. Because this thing will get up there in under 10 minutes. This aircraft, when you have a flight going and you have the speed set through FMS, it'll cruise at about 0.78 Mach, which is pretty good. The FsReborn team did a pretty good job managing the throttle response, especially up high. So you really don't need to focus too much on managing the throttle. You're within the speed parameters of the aircraft, which is very, very useful. Just general inputs here, the aircraft responds very well. I am barely touching my flight stick. Now, if I did want to go hard left or right, it'll do it. It's not a big fan of it, but it'll do it. We're going to be flying towards Chrysler headquarters. That's right in front of us. So this aircraft, flying it is absolutely fun. It's so much fun. When I'm doing my flights, I don't use the autopilot until I'm like within 10,000 feet of cruising altitude. That's how much fun this thing is to fly. The way it handles, how responsive it is. It's just such a good flying aircraft. The only thing that I would be careful with is, especially with the performance that this aircraft has on tap, especially through climb and rollout, you do got to be mindful on descent. Now coming through from a cruise speed of like 0.8 Mach, coming back down to a realistic 250 knots, it's not too difficult to manage, but especially in the lower altitudes, it can become a little bit of a pain sometimes. This aircraft is just, there's so many good things I can say about just the way this thing flies and handles. So directly in front of us, that should be Oakland County International Airport. That is the airport we have chosen to do our landing on. We should be coming in on 9 right, which is about 6,000 feet. We don't really need that much room. I could land on a shorter runway and be completely okay. One thing to note with this aircraft, I'm pretty sure it's just a bug right now that might get fixed in the future. If you have the map up here in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice that with a lot of the aircraft in the game, that as you get higher, as your altitude increases, the map will zoom out accordingly, so you can see kind of what's coming up ahead. Unfortunately, with this aircraft, it does not matter what your flight level is, it will not zoom out. It's just a little unfortunate, but it's just a small thing for such a great package. This aircraft just looks so good flying through the air. So right there is Oakland County International Airport, right off of M59, which goes that way. It's always fun flying at local airports. But I am flying pretty low right now. I should actually be a little bit higher getting set up for the approach, but I enjoy doing low flights like this. There will be times where I'll take the Citation. I'd only fly it at 3,000 feet, 50 miles away, just because it's always fun looking at the scenery from this specific altitude. So I am going to go ahead and we are going to pull up the map real quick. So there was a VFR flight plan that was kind of thrown in just to kind of see but I know the area pretty well, so I can just kind of navigate just based on roads and landmarks. So we're going to go ahead and go set up for a right base here. So we have the map set at 5 miles. I'm going to go probably 3 miles out. I'm going to keep our speed a little low, so I'm actually going to add a notch of flaps just to keep our altitude okay. The speed relatively good. So we're only about 900 feet right now. I'm going to try to keep it at about 1,000 feet. And again, our right-hand turn. I may have to set up a go around here just because I'm coming in kind of weird. So another fantastic thing about this aircraft is not only does it have low rotation speeds for takeoff, but it also has a very low approach speed. A lot of jets at this speed, you're flying pretty much at their stall speed, just about. With this aircraft, you can come in on approach at 110 knots and be completely okay. So there's our runway. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for our approach here. So we're going to land on flaps 3. So this aircraft, you can land on flaps configuration 3. Look at that approach speed. We're coming in. I like to keep it at this weight, about 110. 110 is pretty good. We're not really pitching up too crazy. You just kind of got to be careful when on approach, because sometimes, depending on the wind conditions, this thing can get thrown around a little bit. So even you can see I'm not really adding a crazy amount of throttle. I gotta pull back because we're now starting to get a little high. Let's keep it there at about 110.
400.
400. Using the throttles to maintain.
300.
Still coming in just a hair high. There we go.
200. 100.
And that's thrust levers idle. Beautiful centerline touchdown.
Trim.
When these brakes grab, oh, they grab. Look at that. Another 11 knots ground speed. Let's go ahead and clean up our flaps. Taxi to a parking position. I did select one before I started recording this video, so let's just quickly make our way over there like a race car driver. Doesn't really take much to get this thing going on the ground, and then when you do, you can just let the throttles relax a little bit, and this thing will just coast its way there. Oh, there goes a little business jet. That guy, look at, he's off like a rocket ship. The AI is so weird in this game, I swear. Our parking position is right over this way, so we're gonna go to the right here, and then we're gonna go left. So overall, this aircraft is an absolute dream to fly. The team over there at FsReborn did such a good job making this aircraft such an experience to fly. I cannot say enough nice things about this aircraft. It's so good. Such an amazing piece of equipment. Like, it's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The only thing I wish they would add is an auto throttle. That'd be huge. And I'm just gonna ignore you, buddy, because you always make me park off center. Yeah, look at you. I'm right on the center line. You can hold, parking brake on, and we'll shut her down. What an aircraft. I could just sit here and fly this thing all day if I really wanted to. This thing is such a good piece of equipment. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get a GPU. Let's get a GPU on real quick. Here we go. Just to kind of keep a little bit of strain on that, keep a little bit of life in those batteries there. Let's go ahead and open our door. We're going to set our cone out. Step outside the aircraft. So overall, I mean, what can I say? This is one of the few aircraft that I'm at a loss for words on just how good this thing is. From the visual aspects to the flying aspects, the team over there at FsReborn, they knocked it out of the park. They did such a good job with this aircraft that it was definitely worth the wait. And this is coming from somebody that doesn't really fly private jets like that. You know, smaller aircraft. I'm always doing the commercial airliners. I'm flying the A350. I'm flying the PMDG 777. I'm flying these wide-body aircraft across the oceans. And then being able to come back to a smaller aircraft like this and having such a blast flying this thing speaks volumes on just how good of an aircraft this is. So let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear if anybody that is watching this video has gotten their hands on this aircraft. I want to know what you guys think. What do you like? What do you not like about this aircraft? What would you change? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear some thoughts and feedback on this aircraft and just kind of see what other opinions are formulated from others that have experience flying this thing. Also, while you're at it, make sure to leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you are notified of other videos that go live. I did do a no BS startup guide for the new beginner simmers that are just wanting to get the aircraft up in the air. If you are watching this review before checking that video out, I will have a link to that video in the description as well. It'll be on the end card as well. So that'll do it for today's video. Overall, 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only thing I wish they would add is just an auto throttle. Like, that's just my thing. I'm lazy. Add an auto throttle, you got yourself 5 out of 5 airplane. That'll do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Hopefully you all hung around for the over 50 minutes that this video has gone. Hope you found this information useful. Hopefully this is enough to persuade some of you to pick this aircraft up. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next one. Take care.